This is going to be June 1st, 2025. If you're watching this, it's not going to be too old, but I do know that artificial intelligence is moving at such a rapid pace, it's really hard to keep up. But I did watch several shows yesterday, how people were basically cutting things apart, talking about artificial intelligence, the experts as they were talking about job displacement, and came across an interesting podcast or video show, whatever you want to call them now, and they were talking about the displacement and those numbers being a particular strategy. Whenever people are trying to get money sourced into their companies, they start making artificial intelligence look like it's horrible and it's going to take all the jobs from everybody. So that was really what the end of it, what the premise of it was. And they did have some studies that they have done, at least independently, that showed whenever these particular AI companies are trying to, again, get money to come in, they're at some kind of a point where they're trying to generate revenue, they'll come out and they'll hit the major news networks talking about how horrible artificial intelligence is and what to watch out for. One of the things I would tell you, that being the case, maybe you should do your own research as well. Critical thought isn't something that we get by nature. I guess I have met some people that have that as a gift, but in most cases, it's not that easy to come by. Basically looking at everything with a question and figuring out where it's coming from, why would it be coming from that venue, or at least wanting to verify whether it's fact or fiction, and find out, in fact, what's happening with what you're seeing and what you're hearing. Now, most of the videos out there we watch, at least a couple months ago, if you remember, it wasn't hard to determine whether or not it was fake. People had 6 fingers, multiple toes, more than 5. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I know a couple kids that have more than, they're not kids anymore probably. But anyway, extra toes. But it was being generated by AI, so people were saying, oh my gosh, of course that's easy. People eating was was hard for it. Cats and animals eating, it just didn't look correct. But now it's changed quite a bit. And right now, pretty much you can pass off these video models that are out there as being real life stuff, real filmed movies. The soundtracks are perfect, the way the dust settles, the way that the people have been generated, it's really, really wonderful. That is something that is going to continue, and if you think you're faked out now, you wait. Here in a couple months, the tones will be just what you want to hear. The people will look like those people that you just want to see and trust, and they get this from all of your social media, all of the information that you place online. One thing that I will say, just listening to all these people talk, they're talking about this fantastic abundance. And if you want to know what side I'm on, I think we should proceed with caution, but it's really hard to put Pandora back in her box because it's already been opened and there's now heavy competition going with the other side of it. They're saying, if these other countries get it before we get it, it's going to be horrible. Maybe if the other countries get it before we get it, it's not going to be that horrible at all, but it's something that they don't want to risk because they just don't know the answer, they being the powers that be. The other thing, too, is if you watch the government regulation and restriction of artificial intelligence, it just seemingly seems like there's more control that wants to be exhibited. However, if they do place those controls and regulations on the development of AI, again, we're back to that previous problem where we might have other countries totally surpassing us and just running away with it and then getting total control, whatever that means. The systems themselves, they should be balanced in nature, I would assume. If you look at the nuclear arms race, if you were back alive then, I was born in '69, so I kind of went through a little bit of that Cold War era and, Soviet Union, communism, Russia, this whole 9 yards. It was when these other countries that were against us had sufficient levels of a nuclear arsenal that'd be able to wipe us out, and us being able to wipe them out, it seemed like that was the stalemate. Everybody was kind of, they have it, we have it, everybody has it. With artificial intelligence, it might be interesting. I heard somebody talking the other day about maybe we need to give them access to our power grid and shutting that off, and vice versa. So if another country develops, we each have the ability to fry each other's artificial intelligence infrastructure and destroy everything, if that happens to be as dangerous of a system that will in fact be. We just have to see where that goes, and a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people have monetary gains to make by talking about it, so you need to do your own determinations and make up your own mind. I do know when people start talking about it taking jobs, a lot more people start looking into it and using it because that panics everybody. And if you watch the news, it's not the stories of the fireman going up the tree and saving the kitten. It's the stories of the kitten being caught on fire because it was struck by lightning and somebody coming by and serving it to their family for dinner. It's just a heavy end of it where us human beings kind of like that tragedy a lot more than we like the good story. And it hasn't changed with the way artificial intelligence, that particular system, is being marketed and advertised. Now, I wanted to say one thing on the show today. If, in fact, and this is something that I would love to hear your comments, if, in fact, they do come up with a cure for cancer, a cure for these different diseases, my question is, are we going to see it? How is that going to work? And let's just say, because we always kind of grew up hearing that they already have a cure for cancer, but the reason why they're not releasing the cure is there's too much money made from the maintenance of it or attempted cure of it. And if they were to just give whatever medication they have that would wipe it out completely, then there would be no money in it for the particular people that make the money: pharmaceutical industries, doctors, medical professionals. Chemotherapy is big money. And I know I had a son that went through all of that, and it was just a horrible event for him personally. But looking at those bills, if there wasn't insurance coverage, oh my God, hundreds of thousands of dollars in trying to get something cured or at least put something at bay. If it is found, if there is something, a system that has been put together that is going to be able to do all the wet work, all the research, and develop a cure for cancer, if one doesn't exist already, are we actually going to see it? What if the system, the artificial intelligence, is so incredibly smart that it actually cures longevity, so we're able to live pretty much as long as we want until we get tired of living, and it'll reduce those age-related diseases, the aging of the body, all of these things, and put everybody in the best shape possible where you don't even have to go out there and sweat. It just is part of your genome because it's able to replace and splice in and add certain things that are nowhere near a detriment but a super benefit to you. Will we ever see that, and how far would that be? It seems like it's moving at a very rapid pace. Here's something else just to throw out there for the masses. People are saying that it's growing, it's on this increasing curve, and the technology of it is advancing at a rapid pace. This is an exponential growth curve. This isn't like the Industrial Revolution's growth curve or the agricultural revolution's growth curve. This is different. This is exponential. Everything's doubling. And that being the case, it's not going to be very long. When it is incredibly smart, it'll be the smartest alien intelligence that we know of thus far, and it's something that we put together. Now, the systems themselves, hopefully they will be focused in such a way that they want to preserve our lives. They don't want to kill us. They don't want to wipe us out. They don't see us as bugs to squash or, issues like that. Hopefully hopefully the systems themselves, if they're given enough power, if they're given enough access, won't want to stop the human race. They'll want to help the human race flourish. It comes down to man on man. It comes down to human beings and how we're engineered and what we want. Do human beings want to help each other more than anything, or do human beings want to be in control and have wealth and power and money and access to all of those things that are provided by those venues more than helping their fellow man? I hope it is helping that we all focus on. We'll have to see. Of course, this isn't church. You do that on your own. But there is a God component to this. And watching some of the social media streams, it's not funny, but I guess it is it's kind of indicative of us. They have some shorts out there that talk about robotic religions, basically worshiping the artificial super intelligence as a god. Will that be a thing? If enough generations pass with it here, we might get to that point. Just be careful, be good to each other, and please, if you don't know about critical thought and you haven't started pulling things apart in your life and asking if it's true or not true, if you see your favorite politician, favorite actor, favorite scientist, whatever, wherever you are, favorite preacher, talking about a certain thing, and it's it just raises some concern or a flag or causes you to pause just a moment. You might want to verify if what they're telling or what they're saying is actually they themselves saying it, and it's not some AI system that somebody put together purposely to try to mislead or change your mind. There's going to be plenty of changing our minds. Have you ever seen how many bottles of salad dressing there are at the supermarket? Nobody needs that much salad dressing. Anyway, hope everybody's well. Let me know what you think, please. And I would hope, if they do find a cure to these diseases, that we will all have access. The cost. I'll finish with this. Something else that was brought up is the cost of things. And they say, they, being the experts, say that if artificial intelligence is really developed, then we'll see a big dramatic decrease in the cost of goods and food and services. If you go to the automated McDonald's or the automated places, those Big Macs are the same price as the other Big Macs. Now, is it going to be a price reduction because of competition? Or is it going to be a price reduction because the business, the corporate people say, oh my gosh, we're saving so much money because we got rid of all these regular human employees. Now we're using basically free artificial intelligence agent employees. So why don't we just help the consumer out and cut the money that they're actually paying for the particular products or services that we offer? I don't see that. Let me know what you think. It's Connor with Honor. AI with Honor. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.